Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I wanted to make a video talking about the low FODMAP diet. If you guys follow me on Instagram, or even in the last couple of videos, I mentioned the low FODMAP diet. So I wanted to come on, this is not focusing, I wanted to come on and make a little bit of a video discussing my experience with the low FODMAP diet and kind of what it is. I've been seeing more and more people starting the low FODMAP diet, and I feel like people really aren't educated on what it is or what it's used for. So I figured I would talk about it. So FODMAP stands for fermentable oligodimonosaccharides and polyols. It's basically just a type of carbohydrate that's highly fermentable, so it's a little bit hard on your gut, a little bit harder to digest. I literally always forget what it stands for, so I had to look. And so it's mainly used in treatment for IBS or SIBO, which is small intestinal bacterial overgrowth. So I guess we'll start with my story. I started having digestion issues like kind of when my internship started, so like last August. And I didn't change the way that I ate or anything. The only thing that changed was that I was now in this internship, so I was working different hours. It was constantly changing. I guess that was stressful in itself. But other than that, I was still eating the same foods. And I started to get like a lot of discomfort, like super bloated, constipated. I mean, that's basically it. My stomach hurt all the time. And I just had no idea what the issue was. I, for a little while, was convinced that I was just eating too much fiber. So I started like tracking my fiber, like started to like cut back on my portions, just so that I wasn't taking in as much fiber. But the average person does not even eat enough fiber in the day. And it's very uncommon to be eating too much fiber. So that just didn't seem right to me, especially since this was the way that I've been eating. So, you know, I was living with it. Fast forward to October. I started my long-term care rotation, and one of the dietitians that worked there has a little side private practice, and she specializes in gut health. So I talked to her about some of my symptoms, and she actually told me that she had a lot of women come to her who developed gut issues after long-term birth control use. So I was like, oh, maybe that's me, because I had been on the pill for 6 years. So it was a thought in the back of my mind. I didn't really do anything about it, but whatever. So fast forward to January, still having these issues. I finally decided to stop birth control. A part of me wanted to just come off of the hormones, just to make sure like my body was functioning on its own. Part of me also thought maybe this would help my stomach, because I was so messed up. So my like hormones and birth control story kind of overlap with my digestive issues. So when I decided to come off of birth control, my stomach issues got like worse. Like I was in so much pain, most bloated I've ever been in my life. So I reached out to this dietitian because I was just so frustrated. Like it was absolutely horrible. Like I didn't want to be seen. I didn't want to go anywhere. I didn't even want to go to the gym. Like I just felt so gross. So I reached out to that dietitian and I asked her for help. So I started working with her. And so this was like right when I came off of birth control. It turns out like a week later I got my period. So like I think that pain was just due to my period. But I don't know. I didn't know at the time. It was all just messed up. So started working with this dietitian. My camera is about to die. That's so annoying. All right, please hold 1 second because this is about to die and I don't want it to die in the middle of me talking. So 1 second. All right, back. So started working with this dietitian. Upon talking to her, she figured that I had small intestinal bacterial overgrowth, SIBO, due to my long-term birth control use, as well as antibiotics. I had been on antibiotics for my skin for like months, and I had no idea that they were antibiotics at the time. And this was like my freshman year of college, so I didn't know anything. I wasn't even into my major, so I didn't know anything. I didn't know how bad antibiotics are for your gut. So I was taking those for a while, and then I was on the pill for 6 years. So that all like wreaks havoc on your gut. Like it kills the good gut bacteria, the good gut bacteria, yes. So I never actually got tested for SIBO because I had a lot of issues with my insurance and whatever. So this was just her best guess, and it sounded right based on my symptoms. So she recommended I try the low FODMAP diet. So what the low FODMAP diet entails is that you do an elimination of these high FODMAP foods for 5 to 6 weeks, and then you start reintroducing foods from each group to see if you can tolerate it, like maybe see if some of these foods might be a trigger for you. Some things might just cause some discomfort. Some foods might just be harder for you to digest, and you take note of that and just be aware, like watch out for those foods, try to avoid them, whatever. So I start the low FODMAP diet in January, which is also when I was off the pill. So there was like a month period between me going off the pill and me getting a copper IUD, which is non-hormonal. So in that month, I got my period twice, and then I got the IUD, and I haven't gotten it since. So I'm also on a journey to heal my hormones. So there's just been like a lot going on in my body, but so March, February, maybe it was 2 months. There was 2 months between me stopping birth control and getting the copper IUD, because March was like deep into my being on low FODMAP, and that was like my low point was March. Yeah. So basically, this dietitian that I was working with, I used to eat like every 2 hours on the hour religiously. Like my hunger cues totally dulled. Like it was just like me being OCD and whatever. So I've never had like an eating disorder, but I've definitely struggled with disordered eating tendencies. Case in point, me eating 2 hours on the hour, like religiously. And the dietitian that I was working with had said that's too much. Like for SIBO, you need to like let your gut digest what's in your gut before you're eating more. So she recommended every 3 to 4 hours. So that was something that I struggled with because I was used to eating so often. And then by the time I was like so deep into this FODMAP, which first of all, it's so restrictive, like you can't eat a lot of fruits and vegetables. That's what I had the most trouble with, really, because I was so sick of eating the same fruits and vegetables over and over again. No beans or legumes, which is like my main source of protein because I'm a pescatarian. I don't eat meat. And I don't eat fish that often because I can't afford it. So that was tough. I was just eating the same things like over and over again, and I was so sick of it. But due to the restrictive nature of the diet, and then her telling me that I should be eating not so often, I ended up being like super restrictive, getting into like a super restrictive mindset. I became really obsessive with the scale. I was weighing myself every day. I started kind of like playing a game with myself, like how little can I eat today? Like how can I go with just eating my meals and no snacks? Like it was hard for me because like I'd be hungry. Like March, I was in my in-service rotation, so I was in the hospital and we took lunch at 12 every day. And so I knew that that was the time that I had to eat lunch. I had no other time to eat lunch, so sometimes I'd be hungry at like 11, but I'd say to myself, well, I can't eat now, because if I eat now, that means that I can't eat for another 3 hours. Like that's how like ingrained in my head. Like I'm a perfectionist, so like if I'm told to eat every 3 to 4 hours, I'm gonna eat every 3 to 4 hours. So that was a huge issue for me. So I was severely under eating with this diet. I think if you are someone who struggles with disordered eating, or is a perfectionist like me, this is definitely not something to just do for shits and giggles. Like, I had a really hard time. I ended up losing 11 pounds, and don't get me wrong, I definitely had gut issues, like SIBO. I most likely had SIBO. Like the diet did like change my life. Most of that weight that I lost was inflammation, but part of it, I was under eating for like a good month and a half, until I was like, okay, wait, like I've lost a lot of weight. Like none of my clothes fit me. My boobs, what little I had, completely shrunk. Like I felt like you could see like my sternum. It just got to a point where I was like, I feel like I don't look okay. Like I wasn't underweight, but I like really started to notice. And everyone else noticed. Like people were asking me if I was still eating, which is like kind of insulting, but yes, I was eating. Oh, hold on one second, this is gonna die again. I need to get like a battery that lasts longer or something. But so yeah, I just got to a point where I was like, I need to be eating more. Like this is not what I want. My butt shrank, like everything shrank, and I was just like, I work out a lot, like I want to be able to build muscle, like keep my muscle on, like I didn't want to be losing everything. So whatever. I realized that I wasn't eating enough, started, you know, increasing my carbs, stuff like that. But during this, since I never got my period again, I kind of convinced myself like that it was due to my under eating, which wasn't the case, because I wasn't under eating that severely for it to have caused me to lose my period. Because I don't think that I really got my period back. I think that my body was like shocked coming off of birth control, and I was just bleeding because I was on it for so long, and I didn't get a period at all, like for the 6 years that I was on the pill. So I think it was just like an aftershock kind of thing. And it's not uncommon for you to not have a period when you stop birth control. Like your hormones are all out of whack. So it's not uncommon that I don't have my period. Like it could take like up to 6 months. I am working on it. Like I'm taking some supplements to support my hormones. I'm thinking I'll make another video just like discussing my supplements. And maybe like some things that I'm trying to do to get my period back. But anyway, the low FODMAP diet, once I got through the elimination phase, I think it was 6 weeks, I went through that, and then I started slowly reintroducing foods, which was frustrating, and it was honestly hell. Because like some foods I didn't tolerate, like some caused, you know, some initial like bloating, constipation. So it was really frustrating, especially since I felt so good on the elimination diet, on the the elimination part of the diet. And that's a huge thing. Like when people start this diet, it makes you feel good because you're eating foods that are super easy to digest, but you're so limited on what you can eat. That's not good for your gut in itself. Like your gut thrives off of variety. You should be eating a varied diet, you know, all the fruits and vegetables, stuff like that. So this is not something that you're supposed to be on long term. And I think that's where people are confused. Like they're like, oh, like my gut feels so good, I'm just gonna keep eating this way. Like, no, you need to reintroduce foods back into your diet. You need to eat normally. You need to be able to go out to eat. Like I couldn't go out to eat with my boyfriend. Like he wanted to go to restaurants and do things. I was like, I can't do anything. Like I can eat sushi and that's pretty much it. And even with sushi, you had to be cognizant of the amount of avocado that you eat, because on the low FODMAP diet, you're only allowed to have 1/8 of an avocado. So it's just like, it's not a way to live. And if you do have digestion issues and you think that this is something that may help you, I highly recommend you speak to a dietitian. I have a bunch that I can recommend to you. A soon-to-be dietitian right here. But yeah, it's not something to mess around with, and especially if you are someone who has disordered eating tendencies or has struggled with an eating disorder in the past. It really is something that can lead you to spiral, because I spiraled. But after, you know, reintroducing foods, I was able to tolerate everything, and now I can eat whatever I want. I just went to Puerto Rico, and that was the first time that I really just like ate, like, no restrictions, ate whatever I wanted, and I felt great. My digestion was on point, even traveling, which I was super surprised by. Like, I thought I was gonna be constipated and like in pain and messed up, but I wasn't, and it was so great because I feel like I took the time to heal my gut. I did what I needed to for my body, and I moved on from the low FODMAP diet. That's not my life. And now my hunger cues are back. I am listening to my body when I'm hungry. It turns out I really am hungry pretty much every 2 hours. Like, that's okay. Like, if you're hungry every 2 hours, if that's how your body works, like, that's you. Like, don't listen to what anybody else says. You know your body best. So do what's best for you. I've just gone off on a tangent, but if anyone wants to talk about low FODMAP or has any questions about it, this is something that I could go on about forever, because it really did change my life, but it also put me in a dark place for a little while. So I don't think it's something that should be taken lightly or messed around with. So if anyone wants to talk about it, you can reach out to me. So don't forget to like this video and subscribe to my channel, and if you have any videos that you guys want me to make or anything you want me to see, anything you have questions on, just let me know. So thanks, guys.